Today we are going where only the bold dare venture. Whole grain pancakes that you actually want to eat. Stay with me, it's all going to happen very fast. One of the reasons whole grain pancakes don't always work, or should we say don't often work, is because they're heavy. We're going to resolve that issue by separating our eggs and beating the whites. What that'll do, obviously, is make them much lighter and airier than they would be otherwise. We've got some other tricks up our sleeve also. Tiny pinch of salt helps the whites get going. So this is kind of mindless. Get a small enough bowl so that your mixer has good action. For extra flavor, we're going to use some spices. We have here cinnamon and coriander. So those are going to go in with the dry ingredients. I'm going to use a little bit of nutmeg also, which I'll show you in a second. That's a two-handed operation. In general, you separate whites from yolks whenever you want to add more volume to whatever you're cooking, because look at what happens to whites when you beat them. If you overbeat egg whites, they'll separate and become watery. So when they get to this stage, where they're starting to look thick and poofy, see how there's these peaks that form when you pull the beater out? That's called a stiff peak. There's only 2 egg whites, so that's a lot of volume. We're going to use less than 2 cups of flour, so it's good. So here we have some melted butter, the egg yolks. We're going to use buttermilk because some acidity and thickness and creaminess is nice in these, and regular milk. And that's about the same, oops, a little splashing. This doesn't have to be beat very much. That's about the same proportion as flour. So we're going to use a little less than 2 cups of flour and a little less than 2 cups of liquid. Buttermilk is a great flavor in pancakes. We're just going to do everything we can to help these whole grain pancakes really taste great. We're using butter because butter obviously tastes better than anything else in this world, in the world of cooking fats. So this is whole wheat flour, and you can use some of the newfangled whole wheat white flour, which is whole wheat flour, but it's a paler color. This is what it looks like, and it's a little bit lighter than classic whole wheat flour. And this is buckwheat, which is great, great taste. Again, what we're trying to counter here is not flavor. There's no problem with the flavor of whole grain flours. What we're trying to counter their heaviness. That's a nutmeg. That is a nutmeg, and this is a grater, but you knew that. You just want a little bit of that in here. And some sugar, and baking soda. I added about 2 tablespoons of sugar and 1 of baking powder. And now the wet ingredients go into the dry. And as is almost always the case with pancakes, with quick breads, with cake batters, once you add the wet and dry ingredients together, once you combine them, you don't want to mix any more than is necessary because you don't want the flour to toughen up. So you have to moisten the flour, but you don't have to, and you have to incorporate it, but some bits of flour left are fine. Now we're going to fold in the egg whites. I'll show you how to do it with your hand because it's more fun, and my hands are clean. You put the whites in, and you scoop the batter over them. I would say that's enough. We still see some egg white. We have a lot of volume on there. It's notorious that the first batch of pancakes is the worst. Whenever you have guests, the gracious host will eat the first batch himself. The smart, selfish host will serve the first batch, appear to be gracious, and wait until later to eat. But sometimes you get lucky and the first batch is good too. Nice, consistently, evenly hot pan. So what you want here is a pan that's got nice, even heat all the way around. If possible, a burner that's the same size as the pan. We're going to have some trouble getting this outside to cook as evenly as the inside, which means it helps just to give the pancakes a little half turn when they're about halfway through cooking. See how there's bubbles appearing pretty much everywhere all over the surface? That's how you know the pancake's ready to turn. So let's start with this guy. Nice. Once you turn them, they're practically done. From that point on, you're eating and you're cooking. Whole grain pancakes are notoriously heavy and gummy and tough. These are light, almost ethereal, really tender, and really delicious.